Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Adventures with Heckenback. We're starting our day on the peaceful shores of Lake Erie at Rondeau Provincial Park. But by the end of the day, this is where we'll be. We had entered Canada yesterday via the Ambassador Bridge and then camped last night at Rondeau. Our destination today is Niagara Falls, but you know we're going to do some exploring along the way. This is my first time in Canada, and after even this short trip, I can definitely imagine us coming back in the future. If you have any places in Canada you love to camp or explore, let us know in the comments. We're always looking for new places to discover and explore. We were only about 3 hours away from Niagara Falls at this point, so we took our time packing up camp this morning and just relaxed. Rondeau is over here on this little peninsula or dongle that sticks out into Lake Erie. And one of the things we were really curious about is what was over here on this little peninsula. We could see that there was a lighthouse, so we thought it would be fun to go check that out. And wouldn't you know it, there was a brewing company there as well that opened at 11. So we thought that would be a great stop for lunch. Once we were all packed up, we began our drive around the bay. This is Bayside Brewing in Erie, Ontario, Canada, which is right on that little peninsula. Their parking lot is pretty tight, especially for a truck pulling a camper, but lunch was definitely worth it. It took us several minutes of back and forth to get turned around. We enjoyed lunch up on the deck overlooking the bay. We ordered a delicious flatbread pizza, and it was delicious. And this beautiful thing is some sort of a beer spritzer mixed drink they had on their summer menu. It was very refreshing.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. It's boy.
After lunch, we headed down to the very end of the peninsula to check out the lighthouse. Turns out there's actually two lighthouses. Rondo Bay gets its name from two French words that basically mean round bay. It's one of the few naturally occurring protected bays in Canada. We are always fascinated by things like this. Here is the bottom of Rondeau Provincial Park, and then right over here is where we're at now. So this is Google Maps, and then this is the satellite view. So we're really curious if we could have, it doesn't look like we could get onto there from here, but maybe from over here if we could have hiked all the way out to this little point. If anybody knows, leave us a comment and let us know. So what we're going to look at is the East Lighthouse and the West Lighthouse here. And I believe from what we read that there may actually be another one, what they call an inner lighthouse, right here on this little point. So apparently these two piers came about starting in 1843 because Canada here on this Lake Erie area was struggling with the quality and accessibility of their harbors. Ships, larger ships, often had to stay way offshore, and then smaller ones would have to ferry cargo back and forth, which was really expensive. So since there was already this natural harbor here, kind of a protected harbor, it was decided that they would construct a breakwater and two piers. So that's what you see here, the East Pier and the West Pier. The first lighthouse ended up being erected in 1844. Unfortunately, it burned a little over 10 years later in 1856. In 1876, two lighthouses were erected. Each one served a slightly different purpose. It sounds again like one was kind of the beacon that ships could see out at sea, and then the other one actually illuminated the passage. So over the years, various lighthouses have been constructed, a couple have been moved around, but finally in 1905, the square metal steel tower that we see across the inlet here was erected. And then in 1912, the concrete one that we see at the end of this pier we can walk down was erected. So these are the two that are still standing and are considered the historical lighthouses here. It appears that this is now a recreational harbor. Cargo ships have gotten so big, I sincerely doubt that much cargo is coming in through this harbor. Everything we saw was recreational. On our way to Niagara Falls, we ended up making a stop at one more brewery called Sons of Kent. Aren't those beers beautiful? It was a really cool place, very laid back. And before we left, we ended up getting a couple of crowlers to take with us to the Airbnb we'd be staying at in Niagara Falls. The beer we got was called Lone Wolf, and it is a coffee blonde. We like our coffee in all forms, including in our beer. Then it was time to make the 3 hour drive to Niagara Falls. We would be meeting my sister and brother in law in Niagara Falls, and we're actually staying in an Airbnb. There is camping outside of the Niagara Falls area, but we wanted to be able to spend a lot of time together, so we actually were able to find an Airbnb that was set up kind of as a duplex with an inner connecting door. It ended up working out perfectly. And the driveway was big enough for us to park our Campanaw while we were there.
Bridge right before the bridge.
The bridge right before the bridge. Driven over one of these before.
The Allenburg Bridge crosses the Welland Shipping Canal, which is a 27-mile or 43-kilometer ship canal that connects Lake Ontario to Lake Erie. Our rental was just outside of the downtown area. You can see the Skylon Tower there off to the left. That is the big tower that has the rotating restaurant on it. We didn't end up going to that restaurant or up into the observation tower on this trip, but we did check out lots of other popular attractions, starting with the Clifton Hills area. We decided to head that way for dinner. From our rental, it was about a 20-minute walk. We settled on the Niagara Falls Brewing Company for dinner. They have a distillery right there in the same little plaza. The beer was pretty good. This is a very touristy area. Of course, a lot of Niagara Falls is. Clifton Hills is very chaotic, which isn't normally something we gravitate towards. What about you? Do you love this kind of energy, or would you avoid it?
You want to play with the giant marble?
It sounds like the wax they put on a bowling ball.
Oh, that's what it is.
This area is called Clifton Hills, and it is on a hill. On the way there, it was downhill. I'm not sure if you can tell. On the way back, it is now uphill.
On to moose. So you can hug the moose.
Find the hidden passageway and finish the journey of terror, or be lost in the clutching darkness forever.
Right behind you.
Clifton Hills sort of reminded us of the main strip in Gatlinburg. So it's kind of that thing. It's got like Ripley's Believe It or Not. It's got the big Ferris wheel. It has an upside down house, and just, all sorts of restaurants, family fun centers, things like that. It was about 10 p.m. at this point, but a lot of the attractions and restaurants are open midnight, 1 a.m., even 2 a.m.
I thought maybe you were just going to walk diagonally across the street. Whoop. Okay. Yep.
Do you remember the cereal mill in Paris?
Yes.
It didn't smell that nice.
No. I don't, well, that's what I don't think this does either.
Niagara Falls is interesting. You have tourist and entertainment, an industrial area, and residential all within about 7 blocks of each other.
Yeah, you're right. It does not smell nice. There was that one spot.
No, yeah.
That smelled moldy. Next time you get it, you gotta get approval from all 4 of us about walking someplace.
Okay. Hey, I had my sister's approval.
I said 4. Besides, I think Henry Ford invented cars to alleviate this kind of shit.
Well, but think what it would have been like to try to drive down there.
That's what I'm thinking.
You wouldn't have been able to park.
Can you sit down here on the corner and we'll come get you?
I don't trust you.
He doesn't trust us.
Not even Brian.
Brian would come get you. Yep, that's the spinning restaurant observation tower thing. Yay! We survived.
We were all pretty tired at this point, and tomorrow would be a big day with a lot more walking. That is one thing, if you're going to Niagara Falls, be prepared to do quite a bit of walking. Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed coming along with us on this adventure. In the next video, we'll share with you some of the attractions we checked out while we were in Niagara Falls. Niagara Parks has some pretty reasonable attraction packages, but we did learn there are a few tricks you need to know. And then after a couple days in Niagara Falls, we'll be headed back into the woods again. I'm sure we'll be ready for it by that point.